All right, boys, before we jump into today's topic, talk to me about some dad wins and fails that we may have had.
A couple fails. I was solo parenting over the weekend, just one night, and my 2-year-old was having a little bout with the diarrhea. So that was fun, man. I was like on high poop alert all weekend because
is she potty trained?
She is, but for whatever reason, she was just like not having it.
Yeah.
And so I was like watching her because they revert back to like their old ways.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is she walking off into that room by herself, And so I chase after her, try to catch it, but yeah. So
does your daughter have a favorite spot to poop?
Nah, she just tries to go where no one else is. Like she's just like the
Why
class.
is that? Kids recognize privacy.
Oh yeah,
like
totally,
early on.
totally.
Kind of.
Some kids,
they know what they're doing is wrong and they're hiding.
My youngest only wants to poop in the pantry. Which is super annoying when you need to like grab something from the pantry and she's screaming at you to
get out.
Pooping!
Now is this your youngest then?
Yeah.
This is your youngest.
Yeah.
She knows someone's coming. That's
Yeah.
why. They regress. They always regress. Like when the next one comes, they usually take a regressionary step and go into the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So yeah, I'm shocked that you haven't already started experiencing.
No, we're having some interesting meltdowns in the house.
It's all kids regress when they know mom's about to have another kid. Does not matter. They forget forget their potty train. They for whatever else.
Yeah. Well, we had a nice wholesome moment this weekend. Yeah, my eldest, it's her birthday in mid-November, and when we found out the due date for the twins, we were a little bit nervous around would we be able to celebrate like her birthday, make her feel special, and do something for her as well. And so I think I shared with you guys last week, we found out when we did the hospital to go bag episode that my wife is more than likely to be induced sometime in October or towards the end of October. So the realization that it would be before her birthday kind of sunk in. So we decided to celebrate her birthday early. And we did like a huge family like celebration. We got to go watch like one of her favorite movies at the movie theater, which, by the way, movie theaters compared to what they were when I was a kid are totally different. There's one that we went to, like plush leather seating.
Yeah, it's Pimp My Movie Theater. That's how
it rocks all the way back.
Oh my gosh.
It has this QR code where you can order the food, and it's like good food. And it was big enough that I actually didn't watch the movie. I was watching a soccer game because it was basically empty. So I'm watching a soccer game. She's there with all of her cousins and like whatever, just having like a great time. And I think some adults were taking a nap in the corner.
100%.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's like, there has to be some kind of hack around like taking them to the movie theater. Now, other than the fact that I probably paid like $200.
I was going to say that ticket, that seat's now $25, but
I hadn't gone to the movie theaters in like probably 15 years.
Yeah.
So I went when movie theaters were just like the seats you sit in, they whatever they call those, like stadium seats, right? They go down and they snap back up when you get out. They're a little bit more plusher, but that was it, right? Yeah. And you're kind of fighting over the armrest with the person next to you, whatever. Nowadays, like you said, recliners.
Full lazy
and I'm
boy
like, wait a minute. So you're telling me teenage boys and girls are going to the movies now and they're sitting on recliners, especially the ones that the middle slide up so that you have couches in movie theaters now? Like, no, my kids will not be going to the movies without dad sitting in the middle of them.
That's awesome.
What about you? Anything fun?
No, not really.
How was the football game?
7 out of 10 this weekend. Oh, it was good. It was good. My they won. They won both games this week. So it was good.
Nice.
It was good, yeah.
Nice.
This week's a big one. So the two local like boy prep schools in our areas, they're like the big prep schools.
Yeah.
They play this. They call it the Holy War. They're two Catholic schools. So
there you go.
The Holy War happens this weekend. These are like sworn enemies of one another. So
sounds like Israel Palestine over there.
Probably close.
Anywho, moving swiftly on. Well, look, I
like open the
door. Well, look, I figured we'd do something a little bit different this time around. We've been going through a bunch of topics, and this was partly fueled by a comment that was left on one of our social media platforms, where a listener basically said, "Who are you guys again?"
Yeah, who are these guys?
Which I think he was talking about you guys, Matt and Andrew, because there's no way he could be talking talking about me. But I figured we'd kind of deep dive a little bit into the reasons behind CDO. I think our reasons are maybe similar and maybe a little bit different. And just kind of walk through that and kind of set the scene behind, the history of CDO and how that came to be. So I'm happy to kick it off and kind of share some of my experiences around being a dad, about to be a dad, and then being a dad, and kind of the reasons why, and then why you guys were ultimately roped into it. So thanks for obliging.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this was kind of your baby.
That's what I was going to say. I think to set it up.
So we got to kind of hear.
Yeah,
where it spawned from.
So back in 2020.
So we'll do real quick, just for clarity.
Yeah,
Naveen came to us probably 2 or 3 times before we actually said we'll do this. Of course. Yeah. It was like, hey, I have this idea for a podcast, or I really want to do this podcast.
Well, I think what I said was, I only have 2 friends.
I want to do this podcast or whatever. And, we kind of brushed him off a couple times. But anyway, you've had this idea for a while, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So now give us the beginning, kind of the impetus, or why this started, or what made you.
Yeah, 100%. Well, like most middle-aged men, you either buy a red Porsche or now you launch a podcast. So I decided to launch the podcast. But no, back in.
Wait, we could have just bought a Porsche and not had to do this.
Sounds like more fun.
Sounds way more fun. Well, no, back in 2020, when the world was air quote falling apart, COVID was happening. We had just found out we were pregnant for the very first time. We were in the middle of a cross-country move, and I kind of at one point sat there. I think my wife was 7 or 8 months pregnant, and we knew that we were going to be delivering this baby in a different hospital than we had previously planned. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what is going on? Literally, that's all I thought was what is going on? Being a parent for the first time cannot be this chaotic. All right. And I witnessed my wife surrounded by this support network, not just of sisters, but also friends who just rally around. Women just rally around each other.
Yeah.
It could be a random woman you've met in Costco and you're the best of friends by the end of the checkout line. Whereas with guys, you just don't really talk about being a dad. You don't talk really full stop. We've played golf so many times where you've left and you have no idea what you've even spoken about. Oh, yeah, the
classic. Your wife's did you guys talk about this?
No. I think Andrew got divorced. Oh, really? Yeah, and whatever. But so that was the
didn't get divorced, guys. to be clear.
Different Andrew. But the point being is the first checkpoint for me was women have a great support network, irrespective. The second point was dads just don't talk about stuff, or guys in general don't really sort of talk about that stuff. The third thing that really irked me was there was a bunch of people that we knew out there that you could physically see they were struggling as parents, but what was coming out of their mouth was the complete opposite. Yeah. It was oh, everything's great, and so-and-so sleeps through the night, meanwhile definitely doesn't. Oh, he eats great, definitely doesn't. He's so well behaved, definitely not. And it's why do we lie? Why do we have to lie about the fact that being a parent is very difficult? So my wife and I made a very concerted effort to kind of bear it all, warts and all, once we had our kid. Not necessarily to be complainers about it, but just to be honest. Yeah, last night was a rough night. We didn't get too much sleep, or this happened and it was a tough day, or whatever. I don't know why we didn't do that. And we had other family members who had kids before us, where we saw the dynamic shift, where we had previously seen, oh, she's great, and this happens, and oh, no issues. Suddenly, when we were a lot more honest about our experiences, it was oh yeah, she did that too. And I was that's not what you were saying a year or so ago, or whatever. So the impetus behind it was a community specifically for dads, a community around just openness and honesty, and also just being able to laugh at yourselves. A part of this was also I think it's really funny to look back on some of your experiences that maybe in the moment you were heated or annoyed or exasperated, but when you speak about it with your friends and a broader community, you're maybe I was just overreacting, or, oh, you had the same experience, it actually makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And then maybe the last piece to it, before I kind of kick it over to you guys, is if this is just a case of 3 idiots getting together once a week to talk about it, I also was it's a pretty cool vault for the kids. to like look back and be like, oh, that's what it was like when so and so was born, or when he found out mum was pregnant, or when he says he's working late tonight, he's just putzing around with his two friends, like that that type of thing. So that's kind of like my sort of reasons behind it, and part of the reasons why it never launched earlier is life gets busy, and some of the things that happen when you have a kid, to then, you know, you get in a routine. I think once we had our second kid, all those feelings like flooded back, and I was like, no, this time around, like, we have to like do it. And then obviously in that period I met you guys, and I was like, well, they're the perfect two guys. Like, the two guys have similar values and a good engaged parents and whatever else. So we'll cut out those pleasantries.
But for context, you've been married how many years?
We've been married since 2018.
So however many years? 7 years? 7 years, and you're about to have kid 3 and 4?
Kid 3 and 4. Yeah, so when we started this, there were only 2 kids. So our group project has got significantly bigger. Because how many are we prospective do we have between?
So I got 4 with one in the way.
So you're going to be team 5. I'm 4, 9, 11,
plus
20.
Yeah, Andrew's 11.
Yeah, we got 20 kids 11, between. Well, Matt and I are pulling our weight finally.
You're not 50%, but you know,
combined. Combine our powers.
If you combine your powers,
we're great. I'm minority ownership in my. Well, what the reason? Why did you say yes?
Well, I think I was more like forced into this, to be honest, to start with.
You had to be in it. Yeah,
I had to do it. But no, I mean, I think what came out of it, I think your last point was a big one for me was, you know, we have 11 kids. My wife and I, we have 11 kids together, and it's not a mixed family. It's just one after another. We got married, you know, relatively young. We wanted a large family. We didn't necessarily expect it to be as large as it is, but it is what it is. We kind of just gave that decision. We kind of just said, okay, we're going to trust God with the number of our kids. And it has been, you know, you, as your family grows or as you kind of go through things, you don't necessarily, to your point, you don't necessarily think like, it's hard to remember that, oh, everybody's going through this, especially as a dad. Moms typically do have support systems, whether it's, you know, they've got their clubs that they'll go to with the babies and stroller. I forget what their club. Yeah. They'll meet up for walks. They'll go to parks. They'll do all sorts of stuff like that. And I've never been a dad, nor do I like really subscribe to the idea of like that one dad who hangs out with all the moms. Like, I that's not who I am. And very little good can come from that, I think, long term. Like, it seems like a pretty challenging thing to do. If, like, you were one of those stay-at-home dads and all you do is...
They're all talking about breastfeeding and lactating.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just nodding.
And you're nodding along. But the idea would be, you know, the idea is, like, wanting to find a community, or wanting to at least, not so much me find a community, but, like, help others realize, like, no, you're not crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this is, like, it's normal when your kid craps for the like 90th time in the pantry, or, you know, whatever it is, right? It's normal. These things are normal. And like to want to get something more, get something different is not practical in a lot of ways when you're a dad. And I think the last thing is, like, you know, with all my kids, sometimes they don't understand what dad's thinking about, right? It's sometimes hard to have like, oh, this is why I make these decisions. This is why I do these things. So it's been a really cool vault for my kids, even to this day. So like my older kids, actually for my 10 and up, which is, I don't even know how many kids I have 10 and up. There's like 4 or 5 of them, I think, 5 or 6 of them. They'll all like listen to these episodes when they come out. And so, like, they'll make comments about you or comments about you doing different things, which is funny. So, like, they're getting to kind of see it in real time. And I was like, man, how cool would it be where, like, I have, like, a couple, like, black and white photos of my grandfather, and I think one video with no sound. Like, how cool is it that these kids will be able to show their grandkids and, like, unearth, like, however many hours of just recording of, like, how we think about the world, or how we think about what it means to be a good father or a good husband or a good whatever. So yeah, I thought it was really cool, those couple of things.
You'll be hitting them with episode numbers pretty soon. They're like, Dad, what do you think about this? Like, episode 12, go ahead and listen to that in your free time.
I'm not going to answer that. It takes too long. Go to episode 12.
It's just a recording of you saying, shut up.
Yeah.
Well, before I kick it to Matt, a couple of things. One, there was one episode in particular where I was like ranting about like bath time. And you had said something that actually has like changed like my mind about like bath time, where you were like, well, I'm just going to go into it and it's going to be miserable, and I'm going to get wet, and this is going to happen, and then it'll be done. And I'm actually kind of like getting less like antsy about like, forget bath time, just that mess piece in general. Yeah. And it's funny like to see like your like wife's perspective on it, because like my wife would be like, I've been telling you that for years.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You just need the right person at the right time. Not your wife, most likely, telling you.
But even with like some of our listeners, like we've had like so many DMs where like someone has asked questions around like, how do I get my kid involved in golf? Or hey, thanks for this episode. Someone had reached out about like they were in the process of fostering like a child, and like those are really cool to hear. Because like definitely. Those make like, you know, the three of us can sit around and think about like, you know, this is a fun thing to do, and at the end of the day, it's a fun thing to do. Like that's first and foremost. But it is really cool, the community engagement that we have had as well, and just seeing like how like other dads are receptive to the fact that things can be tough and things can be difficult. My second one that I'm going to shout you out for is my wife and I were like in the middle of like, you know, talking through something, disagreeing on something.
What did you say? What did you say? Coming to terms with a discussion or something?
I forget what you called it. It was great how you framed it. You should be a lawyer, man. You framed that thing perfectly.
I can't remember the phrase I used, but something about disagreeing.
We were discussing differing opinions.
Whatever, discussing differing opinions. But in the middle of that, she goes, well, you know, as Matt says, buy it nice or buy it twice. I was like, we're done. But then we started cracking up.
That's awesome.
But the best part is it's not even your phrase. It's your wife's phrase that you stole.
I actually, and I told you guys, I tell her that. I say, you know my phrase, buy it nice or buy it twice. She's like, that is not your phrase. It's my phrase.
That is the funniest part, is when like when the episode goes out and you're listening to it, like, or your spouse is listening to it, and she's like, that's not what happened. I'm like, yes, it is. And it's just very different viewpoints on like the same story. But what about you? Why did you say yes?
Yeah, I was interested in it for a lot of.
I love how you say, why did you say yes? Like yes? It was like a
proposal.
Like, listen, I got
it was a proposal. Exactly. No, a lot of the same reasons that you guys said. There is a reality, I think, when you're working full time. And as your family grows, you do realize like so much of your time and energy is dedicated to them and to work.
Yep.
And so year goes by after year goes by after year goes by, and it's just harder to connect, I think, to your guys' point, with other guys, other dads, you know, unless you're seeing them every day. And it's funny because in college, like I went to college, I had a good college experience, met a ton of friends. I had a ton of friends in high school, but like people are all over the country now. Like all my friends, it's like we're so spread out. So it's hard to have that just constant communication and like relationship sometimes when it's far away. And I think the podcast gives the ability to express like a lot of what we're going through on a daily basis, or again, funny things, humorous things, hard things, all of it. To what you guys have said too, there's so I think just in general, as men, we're very isolated. And we often can get in that trap where we're like, dude, why is it me? Why am I the only guy that has to do this?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
And you think you're losing your mind.
Totally. Yeah.
So like, how many times have we come in here and we've said something like, you do that too? Wait, you do that? And like, we just start cracking up because we just thought, oh, that's just a me thing, or me and my wife thing. Yeah. And you realize, no, there's every guy's dealing with almost very similar things. So that just totally, I feel like, can help change the dynamic in your mindset for the day, even if you get a good laugh in, or you connect with one thing, because we all consume different things and podcasts. Like you can connect with one thing. I feel like that could be a positive impact in a day. And again, I think the dad niche is underserved. Yeah. You know, and I think even after we launched this, there was a big like podcast. NFL guy started a dad podcast.
Yeah.
Like probably 3 months after we started this, but. So
did he? Who did
the guy?
Don't plug him.
I'm not.
We gotta go fight somebody for trying to steal our dad.
Him. You know, they're two big dudes. They're like one of them's an O lineman. I think he's like 6'7" or something.
Maybe we won't fight him. We'll join forces or something.
We'll he could get 1 yard in the NFL.
No, we want to invite him in to the CDO.
So true.
Yeah, we just want to invite him in. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the other thing too is, and you touched on something really cool, is around like the community piece and friendship piece, is the fact that more often than not, your dad friends are chosen by your wife because she's become friends with someone, and by proxy, you're stuck with. Like,
those are the worst.
They are the absolute worst.
You like show up at this house and you're just like, oh gosh.
Well, the worst part is you're like, do you like sports? And he'll be like, nope. And you're like,
those are the words. And he's like, oh. No, and then
the worst one is when you're like, do you watch sports? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, oh great. What do you watch? She's like, equestrian dressage. And you're like,
So that has horses, right? But it's funny when you actually like have the same like alignment of interest.
Yeah.
I was at a coffee shop this weekend. My wife and I were getting coffee before my son's football game. So we get our coffee. This guy's backlogged. So we just sit down. We're waiting on these couches. A guy sits down across from me. Tom Fox is his name. So the guy's name's Tom Fox. What an awesome name. Awesome name, right? So don't know Tom Fox at all. He has a Titleist hat on. Obviously, the Ryder Cup was on this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So my wife was asking me something, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, the Ryder Cup's on this weekend. I want to try to catch a little bit of it." And she's like, "Oh, what's the Ryder Cup?" So I explain, kind of topically to her, and he like looks up, smiles, turns around his phone, and he's watching the Ryder Cup on the phone.
Nice.
We talk for the 30 minutes we're there. Tom Fox and I literally talk the entire time about everything. I know where he grows up. I know everything because it was just like
awesome.
It went from like golf to what clubs, what golf courses he golfed in Cleveland. He's in Florida where he belongs to the country club in Florida. It was so funny because like when you have
Tom Fox on,
when you have those moments of like you just click with someone.
Yeah.
My wife's just sitting there like, what the heck is going on? Where it's like, this is what it feels like every time I have to
when
go
you're in
with your
Costco
friends
or something. Yeah,
100%. So anyway, Tom Fox. Shout out to Tom Fox.
Nice.
And, when you get somebody who just clicks with, it's super easy to have conversation. Whereas sometimes those when you go with your wife to whatever event, you're like, oh my word. This is a long time.
Well, this is also our opportunity to pick and choose those friendships, relationships, community. I think
pick and choose.
Yeah, I don't know about
that. Well, you know what I mean, because I think our broader aim for all of this is to kind of create more of a communal chapter feel. So I think part of this, and obviously the three of us are based out in Cleveland, but we've had and some of our best listeners are out in like places like Canada, Arizona, the UK. We've had a ton of people reach out like just from all these like broader places saying how can we get involved from a community standpoint. And I think future state, it would be really cool if we do have similar to what you touched on. Like there's a community that my wife is involved in. Called Stroller Strides. I think that was the one that you were looking for, and they just have chapters all across. And so you could be part of like the community in Cleveland, which is all centered on workout classes and mums and all of that stuff. But if you go out to Arizona, there's a chapter out there, and it's very easy just to be able to like slot in and do all that. And one thing that and we travel like a bunch for work and stuff is like, how cool would it be like if you were traveling and whether you were solo traveling or traveling in a smaller group, is to know that like there's a CDO event going on somewhere at any point. And when I say event, I'm just talking golf, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say
watching to be game at a bar somewhere.
Watching games and playing golf are the only events that really we will be doing. There will be no stroller walks or anything.
No. Well, I don't think that's a good pivot though to talk about that, because I don't know if people would know that, but that is one of the goals, is to be able to actually get dads together in some type of community to meet and hang out. It just gives a common ground, right? Oh, I listen to podcasts. Like sometimes that's all you need to connect with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially when it's differing stuff, right? To where like if you just want to hang out with some people and like you might not be a CrossFit dad, because like if you're a CrossFit dad, like there's a lot of like CrossFit communities, or if you're a golf, there's a lot of. But like if this is just like listen, I am drowning here, man. I'm drowning trying to be a good father. I'm drowning with everything. I wish it was just a group of people I could just kind of hang out with and understands the importance of it. And so like I could see that being like a really cool opportunity for you. Don't have to like, it's not some long-term commitment.
Yeah.
But something you can kind of pop into.
Yeah.
And it's really structured around like that time of your life.
Yeah. I'd also maybe echo that a little bit more and say like we don't necessarily have to do it or want it to be as structured as like, a chief dad officer, whatever. The whole point of this like pod and or community is to give dads specifically the impetus to go out and find their respective community. So you could be a non-golf loving dad. And by the way, we've had plenty of people reach out being stop talking about golf, or I don't like golf, or
our podcast.
Yeah. Again, clearly not talking about me. But like the point being is like, go out and find that community of people, whether it's like the CrossFit dads or whether it's whatever else, and just figure it out, because you don't have to feel like this is something that you're doing alone. Or one of you guys had mentioned the phrase drowning. That's how it initially felt. Like when we had our first, and I'm bringing it back a little bit to, now post having our eldest, we did not sleep. I don't remember sleeping in that first 3-month period. We used to take shifts between midnight and 4 a.m. Walking my daughter up and down the steps, or up and down the stairs rather, because that was the only time she would be quiet
too. Yep.
And we would trade the baby on the steps, look at each other and be like, is this what parenting is? And other friends that didn't have kids at the time, because we had kids relatively, I'm doing air quotes, relatively young compared to like our group of friends, there was no one there to commiserate with.
Yeah.
Nobody could share it. And for some reason, I feel like my parents and maybe my in-laws as well, there's like amnesia usually around.
Oh, there is.
What it's totally like to have children.
Yeah.
Because I would then try and commiserate with either them or my own parents, and they have this rose-tinted view, and I was like, no, I lived that childhood. That definitely wasn't the case. But they give this like rose-tinted view around how easy it was for them, and all
you
that.
block it all out.
Yeah.
Somehow
that's
your
why
brain
you can have more
blocks
than
out.
one kid.
Yeah.
Like I think women especially, like they somehow are able to block out the whole like child birth, the whole process. Then they can have another kid, because to me, I'm like, who would ever choose that again after just going through that? Like, it seems like it'd be like, it doesn't even make sense to me, but they, I think you definitely have this, like, you get to remember the good things, and you sometimes forget about the bad things.
Well, that's why I took another 2 years after having the initial idea to do this, is because as the days and the months go by and the sleep cycle figures itself out,
changes,
and the kids start learning to potty train, a lot of those things that like really irked you the first time start to dissipate. And then you have your second kid and it all comes rushing back. And at that point I was like, no, we are capitalizing on this. Like we cannot wait like another time to figure this out. And plus, like, now that we're pregnant with twins, how cool is it going to be to like in real time be able to like give an actual not live stream of the birth.
I still am like,
we got to figure that out, Naveen.
Dude, I'm so like the idea of twins. I know there's a lot of people who have twins out there, but we've had 11 kids, and it always felt like, I don't know, like we could handle it. Like,
what's the average age gap, Andrew, between your kids?
Maybe like 16 months. They're all about a year, between a year and like a year and a half, probably right on a year and a half apart. It's kind of the average. But we always were like, to your point, like for 17 years, I basically did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like for 17 years straight, we had at least 2 kids in diapers. This is the first year we have no kids in diapers.
Well, part of why I like doing all this like with you as well is like you have kids all across the spectrum. So I feel like for Matt and I, it's like looking into the future a little bit. And I've got to know like
I've come into Andrew's office many a time, shut the door and be like, dude,
I was like,
how are you dealing with this?
And
I'm super excited to be the one who's not having a kid and watch it happen, because I've always been the one having the kid.
Yeah, but now you're going through teen drama, which is kind of cool.
Which is,
and it's even funnier because like, your older kids like spend some time like around like, our office, and like they'll like pop into like my office, and like I'll hear like teen drama, and I'll turn to you and be like, what just happened? I just got like
every single night. That's what I go through. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be like, did you know he broke up with her, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened? Just like my head's spinning.
The best is they'll go home and they'll try to talk like you, like Gabe will try to talk like you with your accent.
Oh, nice.
He'd be like, Naveen was like, da 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 da. Like,
we gotta get Gabe on here. We gotta hear that.
Well, your eldest daughter, I was like, just stop. Please, just be a kid.
Just wait till you have 2, like at the same time. It's gonna be so intense. Oh, it's gonna be awesome.
It is funny. And then obviously, like with Matt, I thought like it was just so bizarre that I don't know many other people with like 4 girls.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Other than you,
right?
Which is just odd.
Which I was happy with being a girl dad, but
well, that's gonna be.
I did not expect it.
We're gonna like in real time now figure out.
He's gonna start taking steroids. He's a dad now.
I gotta change, guys. Look, I was baking cupcakes this weekend.
His voice has actually dropped a couple of.
He's gonna get into martial arts and UFC face tattoo.
I'm prepared, man. You know, I'm prepared to go where this little guy wants to go. You know, talking dirt bikes, MMA.
Well, your inner child is gonna be coming.
Well, that's the funny thing. Like, I've never experienced that. Like, so it's. As I'm thinking about having a boy, I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Like, I've already prepped my wife because I was like more of an adrenaline junkie kid. Like, we were always doing stupid things and ways to get hurt, but it's just like that rush of doing it. So I'm like, don't be surprised if this kid has a little bit of adrenaline.
You're gonna cut your mohawk back. Your mohawk back.
If I had enough hair, I would rock a sick mohawk, man. I think I'm past my prime on that one. Although I will say my brother is I'll call him a moto head. Yeah. Like, when he rode his first dirt bike, he was hooked. Like, from like whatever 8th grade on, he has a bike still now, and he bought his son this bike. And his son is my nephew. He's awesome, but when he was younger, he was just more like, he's more safe. He's like a safe kid. Like, he's like, you know, prone a little bit more like looking out for stuff that could hurt him. So my brother gets him this dirt bike when he's like 4 or 5 or whatever. My brother's all amped up, and he rides it. He like wrecks it. Like, the first time he gets up, he goes, "Dad, why would you give me something so dangerous?"
You don't even have turn signals, Dad.
But he told me recently he's been grabbing it. You know, now he's too big for it. Now he's like 13.
I was going to say, typically, like, when I've had some more cautious kids, like right around that teenage years, like, wait a minute, like, it's okay to have a little fun and whatever.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Well, look, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. We've got, you know, our own reasons behind why we think this is cool, but I think a broader thing I'd like to just throw out there, more so on the listener side, is we really appreciate all the comments and suggestions that come in. We love hearing, you know, your guys' reactions to episodes that we drop. Yeah. We love hearing ideas of future episodes to do. And honestly, above and beyond all of that, it's more so the engagement and the laughs that we kind of have listening to your guys' stories as well. So 1, we really appreciate it, and 2, keep supporting the channel. We are on Instagram, YouTube. I feel like this is your part, Matt. I hope I'm doing
take it away.
No disservice, but we're on all the social media platforms, from YouTube to Instagram to Facebook, and supposedly on TikTok as well.
I heard we're on TikTok.
Yeah, rumor has it we're on TikTok. So, and also a big shout out to Holly as well. She's been managing all of our content and branding and social media as well. So cheers, boys. That was a fun one to report.